In this video, we're going to talk about poisoning. Now, this is something that obviously is a huge umbrella term because anything that isn't supposed to be ingested can be a poison. So we'll just go through the steps and give you a really helpful phone number for to call if you fear that your child has been poisoned or someone else's child. So poisoning is most common in children aged 5 years and under, with those aged between 1 and 3 at the greatest risk. And again, this is because they have not a lot of fear at that age. They don't know to be scared of things necessarily. They don't see danger. So this is why this age group is really vulnerable. So what is a poison? It's basically any household product or medicine used incorrectly. That can be a poison. So poisons include drugs or medication, specifically things like paracetamol, prescription medication, sleeping tablets. And that's because these kind of things are things that might be in our handbags, might actually be honest and really accessible wherever we go. So we need to be really careful with this, specifically paracetamol, because that can be really nasty with an overdose situation. So paracetamol can actually be quite harmful to the liver in high doses. So we really need to be careful with this, more so than ibuprofen. I mean, we wouldn't recommend an overdose to anything, but I would be more worried with paracetamol than ibuprofen. Any cleaning products, detergents, bleaches, anything like that. And actually one of the top things at the moment that is becoming a bit of an issue with poisoning is essential oils. And that's because purely they've just become so much more popular in recent years. And of course they smell nice and they're very, very accessible. And children see their parents handling them all the time. So essential oils is something that can be extremely poisonous if ingested. Some of them can be ingested, but only like a drop here and there. And some would not be suitable for children at all. So definitely something to watch and something to keep out of arm's reach. First aid for poisoning. So basically, if your child or a child that you're looking after ingests something they shouldn't, you really need to basically first see what, how they are. So if they collapse, or if they stop breathing or have difficulty breathing or they're having a fit, then we obviously need to call an ambulance straight away. Okay, there's no two ways about that. If they have taken like one tablet, but they seem otherwise fine, then this is where we could maybe call the Poisons Information Centre and get some actual specific help. And what they will do is ask you, how old is the child? How much do they weigh? What did they have? How much did they have? And they'll give you specific information. They'll tell you if you need to go to the hospital, but they'll also tell you if you don't need to go to the hospital and you just need to watch the child. So the Poisons Information Centre it's one of the best helplines in Australia that I've ever seen. So they're really, really helpful. And if you're in the UK or the US, there will definitely be a poisons information line. What they're also helpful for is if you're breastfeeding and you've had something that you're not sure it passes through the breast milk, they can tell you that as well. So really, really good to call them if you're concerned, but your child seems okay. So the other thing to say about poisons is that it's not necessarily a poison, but the one thing that we have to act on immediately is batteries and button batteries. So if your child was to ingest a button battery, which is one of the tiny little kind of round batteries that you can get in watches or remote controls, often they're in the cheap kind of plastic toys, which unfortunately fall apart very easily. So that these button batteries can burn through a stomach lining or an esophagus within 20 minutes. They can start causing damage within 20 minutes. Within an hour, they can actually have burnt through the anatomy completely. So that is, not only is that life-threatening, but that's also medical issues for life. So we really, really, really need to, if you think your child has swallowed a button battery, it is a medical emergency. If they're okay and it's like you're near a hospital, then you would take them straight away. If you're not near a hospital, call an ambulance because they need to get there. They need to be under medical supervision as soon as possible. If you see your child swallow a button battery, get them to a hospital as quickly as possible because that will be dealt with as an absolute medical emergency. If you know it's there, You know, there can be an x-ray taken where obviously it shows up really, really easily and it can be removed quite quickly. But it does, yeah, it needs to be taken extremely seriously, and it won't just pass through. You know, on the odd occasion, maybe it would, but most of the time batteries will just cause nothing but severe injuries. So definitely need to be checked out if your child has swallowed a button battery. The long and short of it is, if your child has ingested something and you're not sure about, if they seem okay but you're not sure, then you can call the Poisons Information Centre. But if your child has ingested something and they are becoming unwell, you take them straight to the emergency department. Okay, so I hope that's helpful for you. Remember, that number is 13 11 26. That's the Poisons Information Centre.